We're 6 weeks through the college football season, so it's time to update those NFL draft prospect rankings. And of course, we're going to start with the most vital position to a roster, being the quarterback position. In this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 quarterbacks in the 2024 NFL draft. But stick with me until the end, because I'm going to talk about some of the guys who just missed the list. But first, what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, where we have that nice, beautiful football discourse. I don't want any comments on the rough shirt. I get it. It looks rough. I'm a father. Crap happens. Let's go ahead, get into this sucker with number 10, Jayden Daniels out of LSU. Coming in 6'4", 210, and listen, I wasn't that high on DTR last year. And I feel like how I look at Jayden Daniels is probably how a lot of people felt about DTR. Because I just think he is a much better, more polished version of DTR. Let's go ahead, kind of get into the background with him. He was a 4-star recruit out of the 2019 recruiting class. Spent 3 years at Arizona State as the starter, transferred after the 2021 season. And you go back and look at how things went with that, as let's just say the Sun Devil locker room, they didn't give him the best send-off. But he goes to LSU last season and led the Tigers to the SEC championship game. He was dealing with, I believe, an ankle or a knee, maybe both, maybe an ankle and a knee injury during the season. He ends up missing the bowl game because of it, but he returns this year and he has been lights out, on fire, throwing for 19 touchdowns. This dude's got an adjusted completion percentage currently of 81.3%. If you're unfamiliar, adjusted completion percentage just takes out drops, spikes, and throwaways. So it's more of a accurate way to, I guess, evaluate accuracy. But when it comes to him, I think he's got an NFL arm, and he has developed really well as a passer over the years. He is a very quick decision maker. He's really good at playing in rhythm, and he's got a good zip on the short to intermediate passes. He is definitely a dual threat. The guy picks up yards on the ground. I believe he's got, like 5 rushing TDs this year, something like that. And over the course of his career, coming into this season, he had 24 rushing touchdowns, over 2,600 yards, and I think he's already cleared 3,000 rushing yards. It's kind of funny, man, because he runs with actually decent strength. He's got a pretty mean stiff arm, but the accuracy underneath has been so much better. The ball placement has been so much better, and he's consistently putting his receivers in positions to create after the catch. When you're dealing with a Malik Neighbors, you want to give him that possibility. So that's a big plus for me. He's a very vocal leader. He shows a lot of charisma there, and he's kind of alleviated one of my biggest concerns about him was, okay, the accuracy's kind of improved, but is it getting better? And it is. 81.3 is a very good adjusted completion percentage, and we're not talking about just heavy RPOs, though there are a lot of RPOs in Brian Kelly's offense, but he's putting the money on the rope. And when it comes to I don't think the downfield ball is his best ball. I think he just, there you could kind of see some of the limitations of his arm. He doesn't exactly have that zip to put it on a rope. And he's got to kind of rely on using more touch. And the decision making's just been so much better. I think this season, since he's been at LSU, the decision, I don't think he has more turnover worthy. Through these 2 years, he has 8 turnover worthy plays compared to his final year at Arizona State, where he had a 9. The decision making is so much better. That was something with DTR. I didn't think the ball accuracy, the ball placement was very consistent with DTR. I didn't think the decision making was very good. And with Jayden Daniels, I think all those things are just so much better. It would be ideally, okay, put on more size because you are slim and you like to run the football. So kind of want a little bit more size, but I think he's up to 210. This was a guy that was once playing at 190 or 195. So he has put on pounds, put it on a bit more. What would help alleviate some maybe the injury concerns, but he has had a phenomenal year there for LSU. At number 9, I have Riley Leonard out of Duke. This one I feel like might end up getting dropped a bit more, especially after, I think it's a high ankle sprain he suffered against Notre Dame, so he will be out for an extended time, which we'll see if it tanks Duke's season. I think this week they have NC State, which NC State's a very savvy, defensively, that's a very good squad. So they could pull a win out there. Not saying I expect it, but it won't surprise me. Riley Leonard, 6'4", 212, former 3-star recruit. Dude played basketball, ran track. His father played basketball at Citadel and is second in steals in school history there at Citadel. So, fun fact. But he became the full-time starter back in 2022. This season, man, he knows how to run this offense. He knows how to lead this team. Like going into that Notre Dame game, they were smacking teams. Like I think every one of their wins were 20 plus points, and they were in position to beat Notre Dame. That was going to be a huge win for them. Fortunately, Notre Dame, they score late. Riley Leonard trying to drive his squad. He gets hit, rolled up on, and ankle injury. Kind of sucks. But when it comes to him as the prospect, considering we may not see him in a couple of weeks, because he hasn't really put up like huge numbers, but he's got decent size. Again, probably could put on a bit more because he is a little thin, but he's got a solid enough NFL arm. Is it a huge arm? No, but I think it's solid enough. He displays good processing. He goes through his progressions very quickly. He's very accurate when reading coverage. Hardly ever really puts the ball in harm's way. Like how many turnover worthy? I think he only has one turnover worthy actual like throw this season thus far. So yeah, no, you see the decision making it's gotten good for him. He flashes great ball placement downfield. He knows how to throw with touch. He keeps the ball out of the reach of defenders. If you go back to last season, he was actually really good downfield, 43% just a completion percentage with 14 big time throws on passes of 20 plus yards. Haven't seen a ton of that this year, but again, we kind of just like started the season. I like his quick release. I like his ability to improvise when needed, and he's a much better athlete than you would anticipate. He has been when under pressure, he is much better than you would anticipate. As I think last year he kind of suffered from drops quite a bit. This year, I don't really think that's so much the case. 6% of his passes were dropped, so not a terrible number as of right now. Great athlete, better than you would expect. This dude can carry the football. However, some of the things about Leonard I don't love. It's not an elite arm. I don't think it's a high-end arm. Doesn't really throw with velocity. Sometimes he can be late pulling the trigger, and there are times where he won't anticipate his receiver's separation. So this could be a situation where we kind of saw this with Tua coming into like, and I can make the comparison to Tua because these are two guys with not elite arms, but they're not terrible arms. And Tua, like in the NFL, sometimes you're gonna have to throw your receivers open. The windows are a lot tighter, and if you're sitting back there and you just can't see it, or you can't just make those throws or anticipate what a receiver out of their breaks, like okay, they should have this like step or two once they just get in the break of their route, then it's like you're gonna struggle. You're gonna end up holding on to the ball a hell of a lot longer than you should. So that's something I was hoping to see get a little bit better this year, and I don't think that's really the case. And he's kind of had the luxury of like, oh, I'm pretty good with my feet, so let me pick up some yards here on the run. There will be times where the ball placement is inconsistent on the short to intermediate. Like he doesn't always put the pass catchers in the best case scenarios or situations to make plays after the catch, and his Accuracy just slips when he's on the move, which is usually most case, but like the case most often. But I think for him, it drops a bit more drastically than, say, a guy like a Jaden Daniels, who we just discussed. So, like, Riley Leonard's going to be interesting. He should be able to park. Oh, actually, he won't even get an all-star circuit because this cat is only a junior. So maybe a return to school could be an option, could be a good option actually for him. That's something to actually watch out for. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment, and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet, so send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals, and guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel. Go ahead, get to number 8 so everyone can crap on it in the comment section. It's Tyler Van Dyke. Listen, the dude's had a banger year. Great bounce back year for Van Dyke after last year was just miserable. We'll talk a little bit about the Georgia Tech game. Don't worry, but let's talk about just a little bit of the background. Former 4-star recruit out of the 2020 class. The dude was a pitcher back in high school there in Connecticut. Coming in at 6'4", 230, redshirt his freshman year at Miami. He entered the season as the backup in 2021 behind Derek Keene, but he became the starter in week 4 after Keene did go down. The dude was slinging the ball all over the place, just winning 6 games as a starter. This is where people were like, oh man, like Miami might have their quarterback. In 2022, though, crap hit the fan. He started in 9 games, but he missed 3 games and came out of 2 of those games with a right shoulder injury that basically plagued him the whole season. Coming into this season, and how he played this season was just so much better. The accuracy, 80.2% adjusted completion percentage. Like, oh my gosh, he's put it on the money. Thank freaking goodness. The turnover worthy plays, we'll get to in a sec. They were much better. Entering the Georgia Tech game, he only had 2 turnover worthy plays to like 11 big time throws, and you're like, golly, man, this is the cat we anticipated. And then everything, the world stopped, especially for me as a Hurricanes fan. You, baby. He had 4 turnover worthy plays in that Georgia Tech game. 3 interceptions. They weren't like the best passes in the world, but he was also still making big time throws, keeping the Hurricanes in that game, because he does have ideal size. He does have a plus arm. He shows a lot of zip. The dude's a former pitcher. Of course he's going to throw zip, and he's shown consistent accuracy and be able to just fit the ball into tight windows. And he can throw a variety of different touch passes. Again, remember, this guy's a former pitcher. Who would have thought? He's probably got 4 different type of balls in the toolbox. But I am thinking he's probably a rhythm passer. The processing, I thought going into this game, I was like, oh man, the processing so much better from him. He had a big game against A&M. But then we start ACC play, and it's like, oh crap. There's the Miami I know and love. So that's something we're going to have to kind of monitor throughout the rest of the season. He's got decent athleticism for his size. Like, once he gets rolling, he's hard to stop. But by no means is he someone that you're going to strike fear into the defense with your feet. He can extend plays with his feet, but I'm not going to expect him to at the NFL level. I do want to see him shorten the throwing motion a little bit. Again, we go back to this former pitcher. You get kind of short. You got to get a quicker release. You can't have that elongated release. And man, I feel like he just doesn't have many answers post snap, especially under pressure. If we go to this Georgia Tech game and look at him under pressure, and it wasn't great. Like he hasn't been under pressure often. Miami's got a really studded offensive line this year. But when he was in that Georgia Tech game, that's where half of his turnover worthy plays came from. The accuracy dipped a little bit, but still, I mean, this is the thing, man. When kept clean, the dude's been money. He really has. And that's typically where you're gonna get a bulk of your evaluation, you know? If like this guy's constantly in dismay, in distress, you're not gonna get a clear evaluation. Like, okay, what does he look like when everything's going right? Like if he's like Spencer Rattler over at South Carolina, who is every snap just can't play inside a structure because that offensive line won't let him, you're not really gonna get a very clear evaluation of like, okay, well, what does he look like when everything's going well, like in terms of the pressure, how is he operating the offense? So I mean, at least we're getting that this year with Van Dyke. But yeah, I like him as a top 10 quarterback this season thus far. I mean, he's got North Carolina this weekend in Chapel Hill, so I mean, I guess things can change. We'll figure it out as we go. Number 6, I got JJ McCarthy out of Michigan. I got a second round grade on him. Not sold that he comes out this season. But I mean, people are putting him in the first round conversation, so it'll be interesting to kind of watch that for the remainder of the process. But former 4-star recruit out of the 2021 recruiting class. I always want to say the NFL recruiting class, but that's not, you're not there yet. Oh man, oh man, oh man. He played hockey and lacrosse. So, I mean, just look at him. Look at that. Like, go look at his how he looks. Like, from his goofy grin to his hair, you're like, yeah, that guy plays lacrosse. Total douchebag vibes. But for what I hear, McCarthy's a great person. I'm just saying. This season, it does look like that Michigan's kind of opened up the playbook and given him a little bit, giving him the keys, so to speak, to the offense. Yeah, he had that really bad game against Bowling Green, but outside of that, like, he's looked really good, especially in Big Ten play against Nebraska, against Minnesota. So, was it Nebraska? Yeah, it was Nebraska. That was the first game I think they actually covered. Michigan, that is. The dude's got a good arm. He's got a lot of traits. He can throw tight spirals. He can throw lasers. He knows how to use zip. He's also a really good athlete, very dangerous as a runner, can extend plays with his feet. And what I like is that he keeps his eyes downfield when on the move. I absolutely love that when it comes to a prospect. Actually, we'll talk about that when we get to our next prospect here on the list. Did I say number 6? We're at number 7. I don't know. If you heard 6, this is quarterback 7 currently in my class. I like his accuracy when on the move. I think it's gotten better this season. He seems more confident and comfortable in the pocket. And a lot of things are trending up when it comes to McCarthy. Because a lot of the cons that I had going into the season was, well, you would see inaccuracy occasionally with McCarthy, and the ball placement wasn't always ideal. I thought it's been better this season. I see him going through the process a lot more this year, and there's a willingness to check down if he needs to. I think things are just kind of slowly opening up for him, and that's why you see this kind of this willingness from Michigan to be like, hey, just go out and run our offense, man. The fumbles this season, where are we at when it comes to his fumble rooskies? Because I did feel like he kind of holds the ball like a breadbasket when in the pocket. Let's see. It's loading up right now. Only 1 fumble on the year, so props to him, man. He does hold the ball much tighter to his body, and I like that. Sometimes that kind of results in him kind of like short arming his release when he steps up into the pocket. And I think part of that is the fear from last season, where it was like, oh man, they're just tearing the ball from my grips. I just can't hold it out loosey goosey. But I kind of noticed it in spring practice where like he'd step up in the pocket real tight and then just kind of like short arm. And I mean, he's got the arm to do that on all like honestly, but you do want to kind of like see him be able to like flip the hips and get a little bit more control under it. But like, I get it. People love McCarthy, and they should. He's a good prospect, whether he comes out this year or next year. It's going to be really interesting. I'm not in the first round range with him just yet, but we are starting to open up conference play, so things can change. My actual QB6, and with the first round grade, is Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, coming in 6'2", 215. If you're unfamiliar, yes, this is Deion's son. Deion Sanders, you remember him? Yeah, who would have thought? Former 4-star recruit, so he was actually a highly recruited player coming out of Trinity Christian High School out of Cedar Hill, Texas. His dad was actually the offensive coordinator for his high school. And then that's when Deion got the coaching job at Jackson State. And Shedeur was like, yeah, no, I'll come join you. He started every game, both years at Jackson State. And honestly, like he had a very impressive repertoire resume before he got to Colorado, as he led the Jackson State Tigers to their first Celebration Bowl appearance. He was the SWAC Freshman of the Year, made second team all SWAC. Is that how you say it? SWAC. In year 2 with the Tigers, once again led them to the Celebration Bowl. Unfortunately, they never won it during his tenure there, but he was the Offensive Player of the Year, made first team. Then he followed his father here to Colorado, where, hey, Colorado, I think they already, how many wins they have last year? Wasn't it like 2? And they're at 4-2, so already, like I would say the I would already say that it's been a big improvement there for Colorado. Here, I'm trying to pull up Colorado record history. I'll do it. Okay, well, I guess while I look up this, we could talk about him. I think the most impressive thing about Sanders is just his overall understanding of the offense and being able to process the field. Like, he plays in a quick game offense there in Colorado, which is great. The NFL loves the quick game right now. And he runs the offense to a T, and he runs it with a lot of confidence. He throws with a really good touch on down the field. Like, I love his timing, the anticipation, the placement downfield. It's all just next level. All right, here we go. I got the Colorado record from last season. It was, oh wow, they only had, no, that's in conference. No, they only had 1 win last year. Woo! So yeah, Deion being at 4-2, dude. Already a big improvement. Good on y'all, Colorado, dude. It would be nice to see Colorado back into the big ranks again. I like his processing, both pre and post snap. Like, he displays just that football IQ. You hear that word thrown around a ton, but he's able to quickly like run through his reads, manipulate coverages. You love to see that. You love the poise he plays with, and I love that he has the legs. He has the legs and the athletic ability to make plays with his feet. But when he does extend the play with his feet, he's always looking downfield. He's a passer first, and I love that. Some of the things that he does need to work on, that he has this bad knack of just kind of fleeing the pocket rather than kind of climbing into it. Like, the minute pressure comes, he's just kind of fading back and rolling away. And it's like, you can't play like that. You know, this ain't Madden. You just can't do that. Doesn't have an elite arm, but I think it's more than enough for the NFL. There are some times throws can come out his hand wobbly and they maybe linger in the air too long. And lower body mechanics are a bit inconsistent, I would say. Like, his hip rotation, just how wide he is in his stance when throwing the ball. It kind of just varies the zip and the accuracy. So, like, tightening up those will just tighten up, honestly, areas he's already really good at. Like, I I do view him at back end of the first round type of talent. So like, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, he already said he's coming back. Listen, talk to me when January rolls around, where guys declare or decide to return, and he's like, oh no, I'm coming back. Okay, cool. Till then, like, because feelings change. So as of right now, I don't care. I don't care what he has said about his future right now. Feelings can change. Let's go ahead, get to number 5. It's Quinn Ewers, a baby out of Texas. And it's been a ride. It's been a ride. Former 5-star recruit from the 2021 class. He did miss his junior year in high school with a sports hernia. So initially went to Ohio State, redshirted, then he transferred, went to Texas, started all 10 games his redshirted freshman season, and his 15 touchdowns were the most by a freshman in Longhorn history. Let's go. He did miss 3 games last season because of a clavicle sprain to his non-throwing shoulder. So something to point out, that's what knocked him out of the Alabama game. And this season's like, it's been interesting. The dude has I think a ridiculously good arm. Like, I think he's got a quick release. He can make throws just look easy at points. He can throw with different velocities. He can throw at different angles. There's no hitch in his throwing motion, and he could really put it exactly where he needs it to be. Like, he could just this dude spins the football downfield. I don't know what's up with his, like, how inconsistent his accuracy is. Like, he is a completely different quarterback when throwing downfield, and actually specifically I wanted to see how much better he's been under pressure this season. Pulling it up, he's been considerably better under pressure this year, but like still that downfield accuracy just kind of blows my mind. Like, we're looking at passing depth, like adjusted completion percentage is 26.1 is kind of awful. It's not bad. Typically, like, you're gonna see these mid-tier quarterbacks in that 25% range, but like for the high end guys are gonna be in this 40% range, and he's sitting there at 26, and it's adjusted completion percentage. So we're pulling out drops, throwaways, spikes. We're pulling away from all that. So like, it's not exactly ideal, but the ball placement and the accuracy is a lot better on the short to intermediate. He is dynamic as a runner. Like, he can extend the plays with his feet while keeping the eyes downfield, but he's also actually a pretty decent runner. Like, when he can plant and go and pick up a nice chunk. So I do like that. And right now this season, I feel like there's just so many ebbs and flows to Quinn Ewers' play, like from the game to game basis. Like, we've seen Texas go on droughts. Like, we saw it in the first half of the Kansas game. We saw it in the Oklahoma game, where he just goes on these dry spells where, okay, the offense ain't doing much. They ain't doing nothing through the passing game. Like, Quinn Ewers, step up. But we know what we have when it comes to the arm talent. So I'm excited to see more. And I'm kind of hoping we do. I don't like that he kind of like went down in weight to 195. Like, oh, he felt like he had to get toned up. Like, I don't know, but he hasn't been hurt this year, so I guess that's not a biggie. But he's currently sitting at 195. So I don't love it. QB4 in this class is Michael Penix out of Washington. Coming in at 6'3", 213, having a banger of a season, throwing for 16 tutties. He's already over 2,000 yards passing through 5 games. Love to see it. He will be 24 when he begins his rookie season, but I really think a lot of his game is plug and play. Honestly, my biggest gripe with Michael Penix is the injury history, which, let's go back. Let's take a trip. He was formerly a 3-star recruit out of the 2018 Recruiting class. He played center field on the baseball team. That's kind of cool. Also took part in the long jump and in the 200 meters in track and field. So nice. Started his career in Indiana. And this is where all the injury red flags are. So follow me. In 2018, he redshirted his freshman season in Indiana and suffered a season-ending ACL injury while playing against Penn State. In 2019, he started the first 6 games of the season before suffering a season-ending right sternoclavicular joint injury. It's a shoulder injury. Shoulder injury. I can't pronounce some of these big words. I have a tough time pronouncing small words. So it's a shoulder injury. And then in 2020, he started the first 6 games and then suffered another season-ending ACL injury. And then 2021, he started the first 5 games before suffering a separated shoulder that ended his season, to which he would transfer then to Washington. So we got back to back to back to back season-ending injuries. This guy hasn't made it past 6 games in a season until last year at Washington, where he started all 13 games, made second team, all Pac-12. And you know what? He has been rolling this year. Truly, he has been putting on a display. So my biggest gripe really with Michael Penix is that injury concerns. And I guess we'll worry more when we get to the combine and the medical checks. So I guess I'm not going to worry too much about that right now, but it is something you need to put in the back of your head, back of your mind. But the dude's got a really good arm, can spray the ball everywhere. The deep ball accuracy is nice, shows great touch, great placement on balls down the field. Let's take a look. Let's get numbers to kind of like rationalize that. Adjusted completion percentage down the field this season, 60.5%. That's insane. It truly, truly is. But in college football, it's a lot more doable because you're typically dealing with like bigger windows, bigger separation, especially when you're going against some not great teams. Like there's a bigger discrepancy in when the best NFL team takes on the worst NFL team than when a team like Washington takes on, I don't know, Tulsa. So there's a bigger discrepancy there. So yeah, that number's big, should be big, but it's a lot bigger than what I think it should be. Like we talked about Geno Smith last season having a 56% completion percentage on passes 20 plus yards. And I'm like, that's an unsustainable number. Like even some of the best quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks in the league, they're around that 40 to 45%. And he was at 56, just unsustainable. And who would have thought? It is unsustainable. He's not hitting that number this season. Geno's still a good quarterback, though. Don't get me wrong, but his accuracy just it's been nuts for Penix. He's at 83.3% adjusted completion percentage, so you love to see it. Some of the other things I do like about him. Let me just pull my eval back up. Sometimes I get talking, man. I just get talking. I think he throws with good anticipation, good precision over the middle and underneath. Many of his snaps were true dropbacks as well, so not being influenced by the run game, talking RPO, screen, play action. And really, he is at his best when he can sit inside of structure because he's an okay athlete. But honestly, this is a guy that wants to be a pocket passer. Doesn't mean he can't improvise because he does maneuver the pocket well and he does move his feet well, but he wants to throw the football. The mechanics, they're getting better. Still needs fine tuning. I think he just relies too much on his arm rather than actual hip rotation. And honestly, his overall throw mechanics kind of get a little wonky, and he just can't make some of these off-platform throws because of it. But I mean, again, mechanics are a thing when you get to the NFL. Like the coaching's so great there. I don't worry too much about the mechanics. And again, everything with him, it's just the injury. It really is. Okay, quarterback 3 is everybody's favorite quarterback. It's Bo freaking Nix. He's coming in at 6'2", 217. And listen, if you hate Bo Nix, you just need to burn that memory, that image in your mind of Auburn Bo Nix. Because they ain't the same. Oregon Bo Nix, kind of legit. Former 5-star recruit, finally living up to his potential. Funny enough, he was a highly sought recruit from Alabama, but his father played quarterback at Auburn, so he kind of followed in his footsteps and was like, oh my gosh, dude, the Gus Bus sucks. And it does suck. So let's just talk about, because I don't want to talk about Auburn Bo Nix. Oregon Bo Nix started all 13 games last year. He started every game this season. The dude's got a good arm. He's got a solid build. He can just consistently push the ball downfield with good zip, good touch. He can throw at different angles. He shows that arm elasticity, being able to throw at different angles. But he's at his best when he is throwing in rhythm, because he throws with good timing. He throws with good anticipation. Take away that Oregon opener last year against Georgia, because again, this dude has been radically different. I would say that was the last little remnants we saw of Auburn Bo Nix, was that Georgia-Oregon season opener. Because I remember him, man, just staring down his target and thrown into double coverage on like a route right up the seams. That was like 10, 15 yards down the field. Burn that memory. He is so much better. He really, really is. He knows how to manipulate coverage with head movement and just giving him the eye candy. His mobility is a huge plus. Like, he can extend plays with his feet and pick up yards with his feet. He has the speed and the change of direction to actually like do this with relative ease. But this season we've seen him want to make plays with his arm rather when he extends plays, and I love that. He is someone with I don't want to say all the tools, but a majority of the tools, and he's started to put it all together. The decision making's been much better. The mechanics probably can be a little bit fine-tuned, because he does rely a lot on his arm for power rather than getting them good hip rotations. But again, to me, mechanics are just such a small thing, because that's something that just coaches in the NFL are so good at fine-tuning that I don't worry about it too much. I think this year he has been less susceptible to bailing out of the pocket when pressure gets going, like comes his way. He doesn't just bail the pocket prematurely. Another thing, when he does see pressure, he's not putting his head down. Again, the dude's looking downfield, and I love it, Bo Nix. This is why I got him as a top 20 prospect. He will be 24 when he begins his NFL career, or begins at the beginning of the NFL season. But I don't think that's a problem, because I think you could probably start this cat right away. Now let's talk about quarterback 2 in this class, Drake Maye, because oh boy, he has been good this year. He really has. He's a former 4-star recruit from the 2021 class. He played basketball in high school, where he averaged 16 points a game and 11 rebounds, and that was, I think, his junior year. His father played football in North Carolina. He has 3 brothers, 2 of which played basketball at North Carolina. The other one actually won a baseball title at Florida. So, The dude's got a pedigree of just athletes in the family. Redshirted his freshman season, was the starter last season, had a phenomenal year. He was named the Shawn Alexander Freshman of the Year. He was selected as ACC Player of the Year, ACC Offensive Player of the Year, ACC Rookie of the Year, and ACC Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's only the second player in ACC history to sweep all 4 awards. Join in, of course, Jameis Winston, dude, eating them W's. Freaking love Jameis Winston. He was first team All ACC last season. And to be fair, I think he's been really good. Yeah, there was like some, like in the opener against North Carolina, there were some errant passes there, but you could tell he throws with a lot of confidence. And I think what I like best is he's not as toesy as he was last season. He's throwing from a consistent base. So now he's really throwing where he wants to. Like, I put in my eval going into the season, like you watch his tape and you look at like his number of his adjusted completion percentage last season was 75%. You're like, okay, that's a good number. And then you go watch his tape and it's like, man, he's got a lot of easy misses. Like, this is a lot more misses than I anticipated from a guy who had that adjusted completion percentage. And to be fair, in Mac Brown's offense, where you got a lot of RPO stuff going on, yeah, that kind of inflates the numbers. But this year, it's been so much better. It really, really has. He's got an ideal frame, really good arm. Like, go back to the Syracuse game just last week, and just look at the ball placement on that. Like, what was it, like a 40-yard bomb? What was his lawn last week? I think it was like a 40-yard bomb. I could be misremembering, but it was freaking impressive, man. Like, he processes the field quickly. He's capable of throwing these dots. He is your quarterback too. He is a top 10 pick. So, like, and like, he's much younger than guys like Bo Nix and Penix. He's got better tools than guys like Bo Nix and Penix. He's just gonna be hard to unseat. Maybe he's a lot closer to Caleb Williams than I gave Maye credit for. Like, I really do think like quarterback 1 and quarterback 2 are kind of in a bubble here, and then it's kind of like, okay, who's going to be quarterback 3 and 4? It's kind of where we're at right now. But let's go ahead, get to number 1. It's Caleb Williams. Who would have thunk it? Truly, who would have thunk it? Former 5-star recruit from the 2021 class, coming in at 6'1", 215, so he's actually down 5 pounds from 220 last year. But I kind of want to preface this real quick, because I think people are gonna talk about him like as a diva, which with Shedeur Sanders, I think, okay, some of that's warranted, but with Caleb Williams, I think you're just out of touch. You're just not familiar with Caleb Williams. Like, he is a great human being. He truly is. Like, I don't think he's a diva at all. He's a very team-oriented guy. He created the Caleb Cares Foundation, which dedicates resources to causes like anti-bullying, mental health awareness, youth development. If you were unaware last season, golly, I should have wrote this. Oh, I did write it by eval. So, okay, this dude's a great competitor, right? But his want-to-win attitude is infectious. But it's not so much so where it's like, again, you're getting this diva persona, this like, oh, I'm this hot crap. Like, the dude's a stand-up guy. He's a great dude. Like, last year, he paid out of pocket for 2 young boys to attend the Pac-12 championship game after they lost their father, who their father used to take them to Utah games all the time. He heard about their story. He got them Pac-12 championship game tickets, to which Caleb Williams now like lost to Utah twice that year, and he lost to them in that game. But you know what he did after that game? He found those kids. He took pictures with them. Caleb Williams is a great individual, and yeah, I think if you have a take about his character, like a negative take about his character, I think it's just a bad take. It's just a bad take. Let's talk about the prospect. Dude's got a big arm. Big, great arm. Love his arm. He throws from a good base. He throws with a good whip, good hips. Serious mustard on the ball in terms of arm strength and zip. He's got it. He's got it in spades. Would love to see more touch passes from him, but it kind of is what it is. He's shown patience in the pocket. He will survey the field, go through one read to the next, throws the ball on a tight rope, and I love he stays compact. He dips well to avoid like he will climb the pocket, and that's something I really like about him. He's not just like trying to be Mahomes in the pocket. I say just like Mahomes climbs the pocket. Calm down here, but tries to be like the Mahomes we see that kind of like drifts back and trying to make all these moves in the backfield. He like there's an aspect to that where Williams does it, but I don't think he does it too much. His ball placement is ideal, man. It really, really is. And you're not going to find too many stray bullets from Caleb Williams. The footwork is good. There's never really a wasted step with him. Even when he takes off, he is looking to be a passer. He is keeping his eyes downfield. Like the vision, the mobility, it's just apparent. I love it, man. He is the keen improviser currently in college football. And I think he's been having to put the team on his back a lot this season. Though, yeah, the turnover-worthy plays, they've been a bit higher this year when it comes to Caleb Williams. He's got a bit lucky sometimes. Only 1 interception on 9 turnover-worthy plays, to be fair. When it comes to the turnover-worthy play number, you got to keep in mind that also takes into account fumbles. And he has 8 fumbles on the year. So some of that is going to be fumbles. Not all of them, but some of that is going to be fumbles. So take that into note before you're like, oh, 9 turnover-worthy plays. This guy's putting the ball in harm's way as a passer. That's not entirely true. This is why you got to look at the analytics, and then you need the context of the tape to put it all together. That's not entirely true. He is not putting the ball in harm's way as much as you probably would think he is, given the big time or the turnover-worthy play rate. I get it. He's short. You're not going to love the size or at least the height, but that's kind of you're talking to a guy who loved Bryce Young last year. That's kind of a non-starter with me. If you're going to be like, well, look at Bryce Young this year, it's like, I'm not going to judge a guy on like 4 games in his rookie year. Can we wait like 2 seasons before we can be like, okay, there's something to be concerned about here? Let's wait. Reel back. So height, I'm not too worried about. Under pressure, he will float backwards sometimes, and I get it. He's good. He's so good that he can make plays like that. But I kind of prefer him not to drift back and try to make these Madden plays. Like, it's not overboard, but there's enough in there to be like, you can do that in college, but I prefer not to see that when you get to the NFL. And I feel like that's fine. I'm kind of nitpicking here. I kind of already talked about, hey, I wish I'd seen more touch passes from him, but it kind of is what it is. But yeah, he's your first overall prospect. That's not changing. Let's go ahead, talk about some of the guys who did not make my list, because I know I'm going to hear about Cameron Ward. And listen here, just listen here, guys. Cameron Ward, he probably would have been at 10 for me if not for the UCLA game. Like, he finally got okay. Oregon State's a really good defense. I don't want to give a stray shot to Oregon State here, but that UCLA pass rush really got to him, and we saw bits and pieces of Cameron Ward last season. So I love the traits. I don't think a lot of what the offense asks him to do is very translatable to an NFL offense, so I do view him more as this project quarterback right now. So I want to just reel back on Cameron Ward right now and kind of like, okay, let's wait and let's get more information when it comes to him. Michael Pratt, I literally have him ranked 1 spot in my big board behind Jaden Daniels. I love Pratt. I'm just hoping, I just really do feel like he's going to need a big all-star circuit to really get his name on the map. But I do have with Ward and Pratt, I have day 2 grades on. I have 12 quarterbacks with day 1 or day 2 grades. It's kind of a filthy number. That's why I think some of these guys are probably going to return. Speaking of a guy that's probably going to return, Jackson Dart. Man, like, I just haven't seen the high end Jackson Dart consistently this year. Part of this is him playing through injury again. Like, he is a guy that, like, that Lane Kiffin offense opens him up to more hits than you'd like to see. And he plays through injury a lot. Like, you could go back to 2022 where he was beat up against Texas Tech. He was beat up against LSU. And even this season, like, I think he played through the Tulane game hurt. I think he was playing with an injury through the Alabama and the Arkansas game. So it's like, I like Jackson Dart. I'd love to see more high-end Jackson Dart. There are times where he just misses his reads. And it's not his reads, but misses throws. And it's like extremely detrimental. Like we talk about the wide open pass in the Alabama game. That should have been a touchdown late. But to be fair, Lane Kiffin's play calling on that final drive sucked as well. Throwing some strays out there to Lane Kiffin right now. But like right now, Jackson Dart, I look at him as a potential high-level backup. I think he's got a better arm than like a Bailey Zappi, but he's kind of in that Bailey Zappi tier for me. We got Spencer Rattler, man. Like it's a shame we can't get, like I talked about it earlier in the video, we can't get a fair evaluation of him working in structure, because that's something we really want to see from Spencer Rattler. But we've kind of seen him come up with these big plays, and like the dude's got the arm talent. He really does. I think he's going to need a big all-star circuit, but in terms of the personality, it has not been an issue the last 2 years with South Carolina. Like Shane Beamer is going to make sure of that. That's a really good coach there is Shane Beamer. But I now look at Rattler and no longer say he is undraftable because of the personality. Maybe that's kind of got reworked, but I'm not willing. I don't think I'm willing to give anything higher than a day 3 grade on Rattler. There's some other guys like KJ Jefferson, dude. I'm honestly looking at him like, oh, I think he's changing positions. But Joe Milton, Jordan Travis, I was never really high on those guys to begin with, so it's not surprising you don't see them in my rankings. I think they're firmly day 3 guys, and I'm probably gonna stick by that. But yeah. I just gave you a load of names. That's probably a good spot to end the video, and that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing as always. Until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.